Hi, this is Christopher Spera. This is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 138. What's with all the rumors? Recorded live Sunday, July 13th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here at the iTechGear.org. And joining us today, oh man, we've got a full house. We have the usual suspects. We've got the editor of at iTechGear.org here, and of course the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and Pocket Now, Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. We're back in the hot weather again. I noticed
We
the last
are.
couple of days.
It's going to get a
You
little
should
bit
be in the
warmer.
same kind of thing I'm in.
Yeah.
But other than that, in the storms, we're doing pretty good. We're doing
Good.
pretty good.
Good.
You know,
Awesome to
hanging
hear.
in there.
Awesome to hear. Also joining us this week, of course, the editor here at iTechGear.org and the former contributing writer at Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show and Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just ducky, trying to stay cool.
Well, you know, lots going on.
Hard
lots
to
going on, and
do.
a lot of work there. A lot of work there.
There's
And of
being
course,
cool, and then there's being cool.
yes, this is true. And if you know, you know. So, and I'm also joining us, and last but certainly never ever least, the editor here at iTechGear.org, and of course, the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. It was really nice taking a 2-week break to be with our families in
It was.
Kansas and Minnesota. Spent a few days on a lake up in Wisconsin, but it's always good to be home. Equally nice to be back on the microphone with my podcast buddies. And I hope you all had a great 4th of July.
We did. It was a very, very good time. So good time was had by all, and I don't think anybody complained, at least over here. It was a very nice birthday weekend for Michelle, my wife. So, you know, had her
That's a good
parents
thing.
in, and everything was just Jim dandy. Had a great time. So, and also, hey, I do want to call out one very, very special patron. My mother's 82nd birthday is tomorrow. So happy birthday, Ma.
Happy
Hey, happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday. So there you go. Anyway, you know who's with some really interesting things happening in the Apple segment. Apparently, the heir apparent is apparently not the heir. So Jeff
Really?
Williams. Jeff
Yep.
Williams is stepping down, and Sabi Khan is stepping up. Joel, what's going on over at the mothership?
If I can bring up the dang story, I'll
Yeah.
look. Yeah, I keep getting the Android story because the Android story is in the link, not that story.
Oh,
Oops.
editor errors.
Ba-dum.
All right.
Yep.
All right, Joel, we need a sound effect.
Thank you.
Let me look. How Jeff Williams' departure from Apple will shuffle exec
Yeah,
responsibilities.
so apparently Jeff is stepping down to spend more time with his money and with his family. So,
I love it.
you know,
Well, they were both getting lonely. So,
well,
you know.
it's true. It's true. All right. And you know, if for years and years, I guess we started asking, you know, who. Okay, so Tim, you know, was obviously Steve's heir, and it was thought that he was going to be the heir while Steve was still alive but not feeling well, and
Right.
even when he was, you know, feeling okay, it was really thought that Tim was going to be the guy. And we thought the same kind of thing, you know, whenever Tim decides that he's done, we thought that Jeff Williams, the current chief operating officer over at Apple, was going to be the guy. But apparently Jeff decided, like I said, to spend more time with his family and his money and is stepping down. And now Sabi Khan is stepping up. Joel?
Yep. Right now they're saying the departure of Williams has also raised speculation about who on the current exec team would be in line to replace CEO Cook
Right.
when he opts to retire. They're not saying it's Williams. They're saying it's John Turnus.
Interesting.
So
Well, it was
as
thought
the senior vice president of hardware
that
engineering.
Jeff Williams was the guy, right? Now you're
Right.
saying who?
John
Turnus?
Turnus. Yes. The senior vice president of hardware engineering of Apple, not Sabi Khan.
Well, no, I to tell you the truth, the way with this switch, I wouldn't think it would be Sabi Khan. All right, that was going to be the heir apparent. All right.
No.
I would think that they would want somebody who has had a little bit more time in a C seat. Number one, number two, somebody who's a little bit more visible, at least at this point. I mean, it could be Khan when Tim finally does decide to step down, and God knows when that's going to be. Nobody has any idea at this point because I don't think there's even any rumors.
Well, he's still running around like a little Energizer bunny, so who knows?
Well, this is what I'm saying.
He
all right,
doesn't seem to be slowing down yet.
right?
So.
I mean, based on some of the things that went on with the latest WWDC, I honest to God, Craig took off the helmet and he had that Johnny Bravo hair, and I thought, he's finally is truly embracing some of the funnies and some of the jokes, the guffaws about the hair. Maybe he's finally.
I kind of thought it might be Craig too at some point. Yeah. And Craig just took on another group. I think
right,
the health
AI
group,
right.
Well, the health group is now under him too, I believe it is the case. But the point I was getting at is, of all the people that you see, because one of the big things of that role is you're a public face of things. Yep. And he is closer to being a good public face than almost anybody else. So
and that was my point with the Johnny Bravo hair and him embracing that. That's what I thought. Go ahead, Larry.
What Tim Cook's going to have to find is somebody who can handle the dichotomy of who can take Apple forward and who can keep the stockholders happy, and the two aren't necessarily the same.
No, and I would say
that is true.
I remember having this conversation, Chris. I think you and I had this conversation back when Steve handed off to Tim, and that we knew that Tim was going to be the heir apparent. And Tim was a totally different personality. He was not a very good public-facing kind of person the way Steve was.
Well, he stumbled. He
became one.
What Tim brought to the table was he understood supply-side mechanics better than anybody in the business.
Right.
He really just did. And but that was something Apple needed at that point.
Time,
so it made a lot of sense. So
it did.
I think he learned how to keep the stockholders happy later on.
I think he learned how to do that. I don't think he was excellent at that when he started.
No, agreed.
But I think now it's time for another face that can kind of energize things. I think should be the next kind of way that they go. They've got their supply chains pretty much in line at the moment, the way they want them to be, for the most part, other than being told that they have to bring them all into America, but that's a whole nother animal. But despite all that, the point is they generally know what they need to do or what they're going to do. So, and they've got that planned out years in advance. But having said that, that's not what they need. They don't need another Tim Cook as the next person, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Agreed.
So we need somebody who can inject a little bit of flair, and you have to have at least 35 pieces. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I thought Craig might be a really good.
I would agree with
you that, but that's obviously that level of succession planning. I mean, that there are things that are going on.
Oh, sure.
And there's got to be a little race chart, right, with all of them.
Who's winning? Yeah,
who's winning today?
But it's all internal. It's a political thing, right?
Of course,
it's not just about.
True.
It's not just about who we think would be a good face for them. It like you said, Larry, it's about you got to keep the stockholders happy. The board has to be happy. The outside company
employees have to be happy. I mean,
everybody has to be happy. So it's a political game, and I'm sure they've got a whole bunch of stuff.
Who can play the politics the best, and who can go ahead and satisfy.
And the other thing we don't see is what these people are like behind that circular wall.
That's true.
We only hear a little bit occasionally when some quote unquote whistleblower comes out complaining about.
I mean, I like Craig as a person, but I don't know how good he is at what he does. I'm obviously good, but I mean, to be able to take over what Tim does, I don't know.
Well, but the other thing they could do, they could kind of split how that's done too a little bit. I've seen duties split in companies before where where they split the skill sets onto the people that are better suited for those things. So who knows what they'll do?
You said duty.
I said duty. Folks, we are in throwback Sunday here. We are just making lots of old references to old things.
Well, obviously, Tim is still the guy, and he's
and he's keeping the course. He's keeping it. He's driving it forward just fine.
He is. He is
not perfectly, but fine.
But
what's interesting about this is we have this conversation about Apple, who's running Apple and we don't have the same conversation about Samsung. We don't have the same conversation about Google. We don't have the same conversation about Microsoft. A little bit, but not nearly to the degree because there's no personalities there.
Only because we spin the wheel more with Microsoft than with anybody else. But
what I'm saying is none of these companies, it's like the CEOs
because they
are
do
almost
things
faceless.
that deserve it.
Well, that's true.
But they're almost faceless in these other companies in a lot of ways.
Well, that and we don't give a shit.
True.
We don't. And why? But why? I think your point though is why do we care about who's at the helm at Apple? All right, and it's because I think Apple creates and produces products that touch the consumer world in a way that makes the consumer
at least that's
world
the spin
respond
they're
and react.
Try to put on everything,
right?
And so there's a certain personal feeling to what they're doing that you don't necessarily get out of these other corporations.
Correct.
So good or bad, you don't get it.
You don't get that warm and fuzzy from Google.
Or the cold and unpleasant either, but you do get this kind of normal corporate kind of feeling from all these other companies, and that's fine.
Well, yeah, it's not that you get the cold pricklies from everybody else, and you get the warm fuzzy from Microsoft only. You don't get anything really from Google. You don't really get anything.
No Snoop for you.
Yes, thank you. You don't even get that. All right, it's not but you have the world seems to have a personal relationship with Tim,
good or bad.
Good or bad. All right. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if that's something that anybody really cares about. Right. But
clearly they do, because here we are talking about it. So.
Right. There you go.
The thing with Apple is that everyone has this automatic assumption that everybody in the world runs Apple, which a lot of people do. But,
I think it's more than that, Joel.
Well, I just think that's why a lot of these rumors and stuff get brought up, is because everyone has this automatic assumption that people care.
Sure.
There is that assumption. I think in some ways I think Apple's one of those companies though that people do care about. Whether you love it or hate it, you care. Yep.
Well, see,
even the Apple haters care about it.
That's my point.
They do.
Everybody cares, good or bad, but they care. And here we go.
Right.
So here we are talking about who's going to be next. Okay.
Who's going to be next. Interesting.
Well,
anyway, speaking of next.
What's next?
Speaking of next, the iPhone 17 Air, right, has got
we talked a lot about that, haven't we?
Well, again, leaked features. Leaked features. Apparently, Larry, these leaked features make you want it all the more. What's up with why is the Air calling you?
Well, let's go back to the guy that coined that first. That would be Roland Hutchinson over at Geeky Gadgets. And his article about the features of the 17 Air make him want it more than any other iPhone device in the past. And this just goes back, different strokes, different folks, use case, all of that crap. For me, I am leaning toward that as my next new iPhone if it comes out with all the rumors satisfied. For me, it's not so much about what the Air has, it's what it doesn't have. I don't need or use 3 cameras with a gargantuan bump. I just take normal pictures anymore, and you can't tell me that phone is going to have a bad camera on it. It'll take every picture I need. Maybe not what Chris needs, what Joel needs or what our other Chris needs. But for me, it's
You'll
a
be
use
able to
case
capture
thing.
the moment, right?
I
You'll
want
be able
a
to capture the
small
moment.
single lens that doesn't protrude, and that's going to have it.
But so far, it still
So,
looks
and
like
the
it's going
other
to
thing
protrude.
about
So
it,
there you go.
for those who whine, I would say Apple would not be releasing this device if there wasn't some sort of hue and cry for it. It's just a fact. In a nutshell, it's going to have a good camera. I think for the most of it's going to have a 120 hertz display, not ProMotion for those who don't understand the difference. ProMotion and 120 hertz both satisfy smooth scroll rates. ProMotion, though, will do it with zero battery life increase. The 120 hertz is going to make that thing suck up some energy, and that's the
And
problem with it.
ProMotion will also will toggle down when you're not
Right.
needing
You
the
can
120.
it'll do it automatically down to nothing. But 120 is either going to be on or off or at 60. That's the way they say they're going to do it. I mean, for me, I don't care. If it runs out of juice, I'll plug it in. It's not a big deal for me. But it's just, I don't know. I don't care how thin it is. That doesn't do anything
Yeah.
for me. I like
I
the phone. I
I
mean
still think it's
the
going to have a
camera.
bump, though, Larry. I think it's going to still have a bump, not just the big one going all the
Well,
way across. I think the lens is still going to stick out a little bit, just like it does. I don't
how
think it'll
come
be as
how come
bad.
the rumor pictures don't have the bump?
To me, I see the bump in the pictures.
Do
I
you?
see the lens sticking out from the bump in the back. Yeah, I see it sticking
Well, yeah,
out
all
further.
the bumps, all the little lenses are going to stick out. They even stick out on a Samsung, but they're
But
hidden in a case. Totally.
yeah, but they're not hidden. That's why my point. I think it sticks out beyond that, above that. So we'll see. We'll see when we don't know till
Yeah,
it really shows up. That's true.
true,
But to
true,
me, it
true.
doesn't. It looks the same as, and the Samsung ones stick out too from their bump.
Yeah, I'll
Right.
do.
So I think this is going to do the same thing, but I think it will be less of a protrusion than on the pros. I think
Yeah,
they'll
it
be
won't
smaller.
have that bar that the 17 is going to have, the
Yeah,
big bar.
yeah. We'll see.
If
We'll
it
see how
even
it comes
if
out.
the 17 even has that big bar.
Right.
It
I
will.
know
It
most
will.
folks are saying that it will or probably will, but
I think so.
Until
again,
Skinny
until
Timmy
Skinny
takes the
Timmy says
stage.
this is what it is, this
Right.
is what's going to look like, we don't know.
Yeah,
Rumors
I
are
think that's
rumors, but
true. I just don't see cameras not sticking out these days. That is just the thing. So we'll see. And to me, the pictures
well,
look like it's sticking out. So we're going to see what it shows up as.
well, interestingly enough, there are other phones that are coming out that are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Some of which we
Oh,
will
holy
talk
crud! Yeah,
about in our mobile Linux segment.
we will.
And those cameras stick out way far, based on how thin the
Way
the,
far. Is
the
that the
phone is
technical
actually
term for
supposed
it?
to be.
Is that the
Huh?
technical term for it? Way far
Way
for
far?
sticking out way far.
It's a redneck term. Way far? How far does
Way
it stick
fur,
out?
no
Way
fur,
far?
way fur out.
Uh-huh. How far away is it? Way far.
Are we all going to start standing on stage
Oh
going, "Well, what
man.
is that? I don't know. What is that? Gosh darn it, what is that? I've never seen one of those before." That's what
Uh-huh.
we're going to start doing. Oh dear.
Well,
Oh
Oh
dear.
no.
tis what it
Oh,
is, what it is. But we'll see what it's going to be an interesting time. But I like that you've identified what you want and what you need, and probably the
I
best
wish more people would
device.
do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that's the first step to understanding what's going to work for you. Knowing
absolutely.
what you really want and don't want, and not listening to what other people want and don't want.
Right. So that you can get you what you want, what you really never mind.
What you really, really, yeah. Well, thank
Mhm.
you,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
Baby Spice.
Thank you. Anyway,
My goodness, we're
did
still
you
in
know?
Throwback Sunday. I'm just saying.
Hey, but you know what else I find is, yeah, we're making Larry laugh. We need to stop.
Fine.
Well, no, worse than that, we're making him shake his head.
Yeah, well, you've been doing that with me for 20 some years.
Okay.
Anyway, so what's I think is really kind of interesting. I know that this was circulating around in the emails this week,
Yeah,
and the what I like to call the 26s, right? All
the
of the
26s.
Apple OS updates, the 26s, right, will standardize the UI across all platforms. All right. And I think
Somewhat.
that's
Somewhat.
Right.
I agree with you, Larry. Somewhat.
It's not going to be completely identical, obviously, because it's going to be based on that
Well,
device.
there's
And
different mechanicals involved.
yeah,
So yeah.
but for most part, I mean, it's all about that wonderful, wonderful, glass interface, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I would say so. And again, the article we linked to today it talks about that and talks about this unifying kind of factor that it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a good thing, that they've done this. I would agree. It provides consistency. It provides you can go from one of their devices to another of their devices without having to relearn. You don't need a college degree to relearn it, kind of thing.
No.
You can kind of function.
And it basically looks the same. It does
looks
the
the
same
same.
thing the same ways, and it all looks the same.
Right now, what we're seeing with the 26 is there's a lot of articles about the visuals, and every time a new beta comes out and they tweak anything in the visuals, all of a sudden everybody in their brother gets very
God,
excited
it's
about it.
horrible. Is it not horrible?
I love this. I hate this. I love this. I hate this. Look, you're still in betas. Relax, kids.
Right.
Now
You
everybody's
gotta
whining
stop.
because they're toning down the glass effect.
Well,
They're
first
all
they were
whining about
unhappy that it was too much, and then they're unhappy because it's not enough. And it's like, okay, guys,
I
you're
don't
still
even
in
care.
early
I can't
betas.
see it anyway.
You're in early betas.
Right.
Relax. We don't know what it
That's
is
right.
yet. We don't know what's going to be tweakable by us. We don't know, what's just they're trying to see how people react to it. You don't know any of that yet. So, but the point I'm getting at is that's one of the interesting things about all this unification, because when they're complaining, it's across the board. We're hearing
Yep.
about, and I think we're hearing it magnified because it's across all of these devices. It's across all of these platforms. And
Yep.
I think that's what's getting people kind of excited right now,
Mhm.
So do
Yeah,
I like
I've
that
never
it's
heard the
consistent? Yeah.
Redditors whine more than about glass. Oh my God.
Good and bad. I would say good and bad.
They
Some
can't
people
make
love
up
it,
their
some people
mind.
hate it. It's very polarizing.
I
But
personally, I think it's a good thing. It's a fence that we're going to have people falling off of both sides of this fence.
I think so.
And unless you're one of the Apple haters, the rest of us are perceiving it as a good thing, and it's an about time thing.
Well,
So,
what's really very, very interesting about all of this is that when iOS 7 came out and there was that drastic
There was
change
polarizing.
hang on. The drastic change from the skeuomorphic sort of real world look to
Sure.
that flat digital look. I mean, it really didn't, if I remember this correctly, and I could be wrong, and I'm asking, please correct me if I'm wrong here. All right. Gently,
I will.
lovingly, gracefully.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Me and the 2x4 I'm swinging are standing by.
But it wasn't really something that hit the presses during the beta runs during the day. It all of a sudden just
nobody was on betas back then, Chris. That's the
Right.
deal.
Right.
Now everybody's on
so
them.
when it was initially released, everybody lost their freaking minds when it hit the
But there's even more to it. Larry, you got the right thing. People weren't, the public betas were not as big a thing back then.
Right.
And the dev betas, when people got dev betas, we didn't go out there and talk about them.
They
Nope.
didn't.
You kind of just stayed quiet and submitted your bug fixes to Apple, and that's what you did. And you didn't really talk about them too much.
Right. Well, but
now everybody talks about them.
My point though is that you heard absolutely nothing. All right.
Not really, no.
Nothing. And then it was released and it hit and everybody lost their minds.
Again, good and bad. It was extremely polarizing.
Right. And now there's a little bit more public knowledge of what's happening, some of the changes that are coming, etc. And
Sure.
it's getting a lot more press in this change than it was. Or than
It is.
You know what?
in the
Apple,
iOS 7
don't
change.
kid yourself. Apple is using those screams, and they're using it to help them forge their future here. They really are. They're listening. They're just not telling you they're listening.
Well, and I think there's a lot of these things, like what you're talking about glass. Oh, it's too much. Oh, it's not enough. We toned it up. We toned it down, whatever. You want to bet that something at the end of the day, for example, that might end up being adjustable by you in a setting somewhere. You want to bet?
I would agree with you.
I would hope that it would be, only because I like the option. Give me this much, but not that much, or give me everything, or somewhere in between, or give me none at all.
But the point
I
I'm
got to
getting at
think
is
it's a
the point I'm getting
hard
is they're
thing to
listening.
adjust, Chris. I really do. Because
No,
right
I
now you
agree.
can go into accessibility and you can turn off a
Mhm.
little bit of this, but it doesn't make that much difference what it does. So I don't know. I hope Chris G's right that they figure out how to make it
Hard to
adjustable.
say. Don't know. Um,
I can live
don't know.
without it. Personally, I can live without it. Doesn't one way or the other.
Well, you can't even see it, so
Very little. It just what I see, like if you click on, like if you're looking at an X in an upper corner and you want to close that window,
right.
all I see is an X that when I hit it with my mouse, it
Mm.
moves around in a circle. That's all I see. That and the circle behind it. That's it.
Sure.
So I don't care either way.
Right.
Doesn't help you either way.
But I want everybody to be happy who can enjoy it.
Yeah,
There.
Sure.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. I like it, the whole thing conceptually. I get lost in some of the details of what they're doing, but I do like conceptually what they've done. I think it's an
Right.
interesting. I think it could work if they, tweak it a little bit. But I can get it. Everybody's going to have their opinions. I mean, that's how this is going to go down.
That is true.
And people are much more vocal about them right now. So, like, here we go. We're
Right.
seeing a lot more about it. We're talking a lot more about it. But the point is, this unifying kind of thing, I think, kind of magnifies all that. Is kind of where I was going with it.
Right.
I think it magnifies it because, again, it affects so many devices potentially.
Sure. Sure.
So people are very, very excited about what this, good and bad, they're excited about what this is
Right.
going to mean. They're getting all charged up.
My personal take on this big change that they're trying to do by unifying the operating system, I think that it's all part of AI. AI is turning out to be kind of a bad genie for Apple. So what they're trying to do is retool the operating systems in a way of simply building a better bottle for the genie. I know time may tell, but I think
Well,
that's all they're doing.
I've been saying it all along that the whole AI thing. The assumption a lot of people have made is what we see in chatbots is the way this thing is going, and it's like, and I've said all along, and Apple's approach, whether they did it right, whether they had to back off or not, that has never been the approach they took. Was that their approach has always been tweak the products, change the products, and I've said this before. You guys have heard me say this before. In the back end, what's going to get us with AI is not these chatbots and these large language learning models. It's going to be this. They're going to tweak the things that we do every day a little bit, and we're not even going to see it coming.
Mhm.
It's just going to work a little differently than it used to work. Our photo apps are a little different now. Oh, our messaging apps are a little different now. Oh, our email app is a little different now. That's where this is going to come down.
And you know
that's
what? Apple's a master at that. They can
They
make
absolutely
changes
are.
and you never know they made them. They fix
none of
things.
and the larger umbrella, they might use the term, in this case, they might use the term Apple Intelligence. But what they're not going to ever do is say, oh, we added AI to your photo app. They're not really going to say it that way. It's never going to happen.
Sure.
It's just going to be there. It's just going to be another feature in your photo app. And you're going to go, I wonder if they did that with AI. That's how we're going to react to this stuff.
Well, that's how I think we're
that's where
meant
they're
to
going.
react to this stuff.
Oh,
I don't
but
know
that's
whether
Apple.
we
That's
will.
always been Apple's spin. But that's always been Apple's spin on these kinds of things, good or bad. So we'll see where they go.
We'll see where they go. You'll see where they go. One of the things that I wanted to learn, and I think we finally have at least some level of answer is answer the question why Apple's all new Home Hub is delayed. So Larry, what's going on with it?
I don't know. I asked Mark Gurman.
Okay.
Right.
Actually, Mark says the rest of us don't know, but Mark says the new Home Hub is dependent upon a new version of Apple Intents. And for those of you who haven't delved into programming and don't know what Apple Intents are, they're nothing more than another set of framework. They're a framework in iOS that lets developers expose their app's functionality to the system. So it enables users to interact with the app through Siri, shortcuts, and things like that. Okay. So they're working on a new set of frameworks here. And until that's ready, they can't finish this HomePod. For those of us who are big into Apple Home, we're waiting on this thing with bated breath, but I don't think we're going to see it until 2026. I really don't. Should be a little 6 to 7 inch square display. It's rumored to have an A18 chip. It can be attached to a speaker base. They might bring it out on a new home pod type thing. Nobody knows yet. But
Could
it
it be?
should
Could it
let you
be?
make FaceTime calls, do things like that all by itself.
The way that I would like to see this thing work, all right, is you could sit it on top of a home hub, and there's a click with some sort of a magnetic sort of attraction between the two devices, and then the two are formally paired and they work together as a single unit. Or you could go ahead and have this thing work with just the screen, right? Um, so you know, I would think that
You know, in essence, this is going to be no more than a glorified Google hub.
mm-hmm.
It
That's
is,
what it's, you
Similar
know,
to it.
and those of us who've used Google Home Security know that hub works perfectly for that. It really does.
but it'll do a
Apple's
little better
never
with
had
Apple
a
Music.
device. They've never had a device that do that, except
But
when it
it'll do
doesn't
better with
work.
Apple Music. It doesn't sound better.
True, true.
That's about it. There you go.
The other thing that's is rumored here that Apple is going to come out with an Apple designed smart home camera. That I really
Yeah,
hope happens because the choices are horrible out there. Google makes the only decent one. There's a
yeah.
thousand of them out there, but
I was happy with the Ring until Ring got bought by Amazon, and then I was less
yep,
happy with it.
yep, yep. I don't blame
So
you
yeah,
there.
I get you. I get you. Hmm.
Well,
Mhm.
well, it'll be interesting to see. All right,
Yeah,
it'll
I
be
think
interesting
so.
to see. I
If it's
uh,
real,
if it's
If
real.
if it's real.
If it's
But
real,
how long have we been talking about this hub thing? And it seems like
Couple
on and on.
years at
It's like they
least.
keep kicking the can
we're
down there,
starting year three now.
Yeah,
and they keep kicking the can down the road, and we never hear anything. And I don't know if it's because the rumor mill is just pushing it forward, and there really is nothing to report on yet, or if it's more that there's something to report on, but they're not ready. I don't know which it is.
yeah, who
I
knows?
I don't know. I'm hoping that it is something as simple, quote unquote, as simple. You guys see the rabbit ears, right? As
Hmm.
simple as this intense thing that Larry mentioned, this framework, this development framework that they need to go ahead and set up because that's something that they could snap into or at least modify into, change into Xcode or whatever uh, pretty easily. Um, and then have this thing come together as part of iOS 26 next year, you know, or it'll be part of the 27s,
Yeah,
Right.
we'll see.
have to wait and see, you know. Um, this other thing I'm a little kind of, not too crazy about waiting and seeing about.
Right.
Okay.
All right. And apparently, according to 9 to 5 Mac, the Macs and in the Apple Watch are going to be hit with a tariff starting on August 1st. Larry,
I think
help us
it's
out a little
true.
bit.
Unfortunately, and I think Apple has, initially Apple had a good reason to think they might escape the exorbitant tariffs of our current president, but
Uh-huh.
alas, they are coming to Cupertino, I think, on August 1st. And depending on which product we're talking about, be it the watch or the Mac, I think those are the first two that have been identified. Tariffs could be as much as 36% because some of the components for the watch are manufactured in Thailand. And there they are going to get hit with a 36% tariff. So who knows? It'll be somewhere between 10 and 36%. But for sure, I think they're coming. And what brings me to a question for you guys, though, is initially the sitting president told Tim Cook that he would spare Apple the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's reversed that decision. So what do you
Well,
think?
well,
Should
at
Apple
first,
be given a break on tariffs? And if
well,
so, why?
here's the thing. At first, it was Apple was going to be hit with a 25% tariff, and then it was, well, no, 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 no. It's going to be everybody, right? Because everybody was
Okay.
going, well, what about Samsung? What about Google? What about,
Right.
blah, blah, right? And then it was with, you then there was the stay, and then now all of a sudden it's this thing is like a yo-yo. All right, because
Well, you got a
Yeah,
guy. You got
I
a guy
might be
making
wrong, but
statements that
I'm a
keeps
big guy on
changing. So
equality. And
it's
as
tough.
much as we love Apple, I still
Sure.
think if everybody else is getting tariffed to death, Apple should pay their share.
Well,
I mean,
the problem is
unfortunately,
broader. You've got a guy that says we're going to have a tariff, then he says we're not going to have a tariff,
well,
and he says
that's
we're going to have a
right.
deal,
Yeah.
and we don't have a deal.
Right.
So
And to be
until
honest,
that gets
to be
settled,
honest,
this
we
is going
don't
to
really
happen.
know. I mean,
We don't really know. That's
no.
exactly right.
I mean, what I am seeing, not just with Apple, but with other products too, is that companies are, because of this unknown thing, they're raising their price anyway.
Yep.
That's
Just
what
like
I'm
the
seeing
pandemic.
too. I'm seeing the exact same
And-
thing, Joel.
and it's complete horseshit, is what it is. You know,
You
sorry,
know.
Yep.
sorry for dropping the S bomb, but it's like, you know,
Well,
why don't you
and-
just wait and see what happens? It's like nobody can do that. It's like
Well, nobody wants to wait, though. They all want to speculate.
they want to speculate.
well-
They also want to make it look bad on the president. So
Oh, no, I
there is
wouldn't.
that.
I wouldn't.
But it's
I
also-
wouldn't say it for that. I just.
no. But it does in the sense that there's flip flopping going on. It doesn't,
right.
But I would say other
But
than
that's
that,
one of his
Shades of
qualities.
John
We all
Kerry,
know
my
that.
gosh.
that's
Right.
true. It is kind of a John Kerry moment, isn't it? Yeah,
Yep.
It
we're
is.
definitely living in one right now. Fair enough. But yeah, so is it just the watch and the Macs? Or are we actually talking about iPads and some other devices as well? Because they're all made in different places. So I'm assuming that eventually they're going to get hit by tariffs from that country
Right.
at some point, right?
Right.
This article doesn't really talk about that, though, does it?
No.
Just seems to focus
No,
on the Macs and the
again, like
watch.
Joel said, we just don't know.
I know they're focusing also on the fact that some of these are made out of Thailand, and that's where they moved some of the production out of China into Thailand. And Thailand is what, 36%, I think.
36% from Thailand. But it interestingly enough, are they gonna tariff the product or the product components? And I think that's
Right.
where everybody is sort of up in the air. We don't know, right?
Yeah,
Don't
it's true, but the elephant in the room is still the fact that
It is.
the president wants everything, I mean everything, to be made in America. It ain't happening.
Well,
President.
no,
It ain't
and,
happening.
you're absolutely
Quickly,
right. And
anyway.
I think even the president knows that not everything is going to be made in
No.
America.
But
And
in the meantime,
after
it
they sit
confuses
down,
people.
but the point is the tariffs are high as they are to get people to come to the table and make some level of quote unquote deal, to negotiate some level of deal. That is the ultimate thing that this president wants. He wants people to negotiate and come to the deal and say, Apple, as an example, we cannot build them here. All right. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the trained workforce. We don't have the facilities. It'll take a decade or more to get us to that point. We can't do that right now. However, let's talk about what we can do here. All right.
What would that be?
I don't know. But the point is that's the discussion that I believe this administration wants to have.
Yeah,
All
they're
right?
not doing a very good job of it, though.
They are
Sorry.
not.
They're not.
They are not. I would like to see
and they
them
think that trade deals happen in 5 minutes when trade deals take years to implement.
potentially, yes.
No,
but
they do. If you look at the history of them, they rarely happen in anything less
they really
than a year or
happen
two.
quickly. They
do
rarely
not.
happen quickly,
So
and
this
they're a big
talking
deal
about
when
it is
it
doing
finally
nothing but
is.
screwing with markets. That's all it's doing right now.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's all reactionary right now. That's the bad thing. So
You can't compete with offshore labor. You cannot do it.
It is.
I've been involved in
Here
that.
in America, no, you cannot. You cannot compete
So-
with offshore labor. This is one of the big problems that we have in the IT sector. All
we
right?
do. You're right.
It is. I
You're
mean,
right.
all of us
Chris,
here.
do you remember back when we were writing the how-tos and stuff for the Microsoft?
Absolutely. Yes.
All of those, what I can't remember what they call them now. They don't even use them anymore. But
Right.
and we were writing them like 200 or 300 every 4 or 5 months, and
Right.
they offshored them, and boom, we're out of a job. you know?
Right.
Well,
that
and the
job.
thing
But
is,
guess
that
what?
the
Now with AI, the offshore people are going to be out of a job.
Yeah,
so
well,
there you go.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
but it was very, for the time, it was a drastic drop. It went from like 50 to $100 per article to like 10 or 15. All
Yep.
right. And largely because those folks could, for them, $10 to $15 is the same as, 50 to 100
Yeah,
for us. I mean,
true.
it's the world, right?
Yep.
Right.
That's exactly what they want. All right. And
Oh, the knowledge base, or the KBBs. That's what we were writing.
Right.
Couldn't even think of
Right.
it there, but
right. And
Back in the day.
it was absolutely horrible.
So here we go. So we're going to have tariffs on these things. We think it's
Yeah.
starting August 1st, but let's wait till August 1st before we say it.
Well, I think what you're going to have happen, I honestly, and this is just me saying this. All right. So, August 1st is a Friday. All right. I think what's going to happen is by the 25th, all right, no later than the 25th, which is not this coming Friday, right, but the Friday after. I think somewhere in between now, the time that we're recording this, July 13th, 2025, and July 25th, 2025, there's going to be some sort of a come to Jesus as far as these tariffs are concerned. And they're either going to drastically lower or they're just going to pause them.
may even go away. I mean, the man he's only changed his mind 4 times already. So,
and he really doesn't have any deals to show for it yet.
Nope.
Not really.
Nope.
So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, but you're right. I think, Chris, something will happen. Somebody will blink.
It has to happen. It has to happen within the next 2-week period.
Yeah, somebody will blink. Don't know who, but somebody will blink.
I actually do think that it will be somebody will blink. I believe you're absolutely
It's happened
correct.
every time so far, so probably.
There's no reason to believe that it won't.
Right.
Based on the way things have been going. So
fair enough.
We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our mobile Linux segment. And honestly, there's some really interesting things that have happened in the mobile.
We had an
Linux.
interesting week this week, didn't we?
Say again, over?
We had an interesting week this week, didn't we?
We did have an interesting week this week. So we had Samsung Unpacked this week. So Joel,
the biggest Android marketer out there, at least in the U.S. anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
There they go. They had a lot to say this week.
They did, Joel. What's going on with Samsung?
Well, probably the biggest out of all the announcements was the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 was announced.
Oh man, it is wafer thin.
It's sexy, man. It's like 7 millimeters. It's very thin.
It is wafer thin.
Yeah.
But what's it missing? What's it missing?
Echo jack.
The big thing that it's missing here, and one of the reasons why it is as thin as it is that it does not have that digitizer layer in it, which means, unfortunately, no stylus at all. No stylus support.
Nothing. You can't even do it externally. No stylus.
No.
Not the typical type anyway.
No. You might be able to get one of those really, really rubbery sort of fingertip
the ones that work like your finger. Yeah.
All right, to work. But you're not going to be able to get that wonderful. No more note taking. No more written handwritten notes on.
But they were arguing that only 1 or 2%
somebody had to ask for that, or they wouldn't have made it.
Yeah,
they said only 1 or 2% of the users were actually using it for that.
Yep.
Well,
that's what they said.
They're right, but this is, I think, during that article, or that discussion that you and I were having about that. Chris,
you and I had a discussion. Yeah.
All right. I don't know that I actually came out and said this, but I think that one of the reasons why the users were not using this is because the stylus was not built in.
You did say that.
Okay.
You did.
All right.
Yeah,
it was not actively like the S20 series Ultra. That stylus is not built in. If the stylus were built in, if I could just, pop my thumbnail into something, pull out a stylus, unfold that phone, and go to town with
it is in the S series
Notes,
Ultra, right?
I would love to. I would have loved to have seen that built-in.
But
stylus
the S series Ultra is twice as thick as the Fold when the Fold is unfolded.
Yeah, I know.
So there's room for a stylus.
At that point,
there's no room for it.
But there is no room for it now.
And the Fold didn't have a stylus. Has never had, and not built in.
No,
it's never had a stylus built in. The Fold has.
no, and that's what I'm saying. But if it did have that built-in stylus, I think that 1 to 2% would be
I don't
a
know.
completely
I don't
different
know that
metric.
that's true. But what I would like to see that I haven't seen is when Samsung says only 1 or 2% people who use it. Were they talking about with the Fold, which would feed into what your discussion argument is,
Yeah.
or were they talking about in general? Their
See,
users
I don't know. They
using
didn't
the
say.
1%.
They
So if
didn't
they're talking
say.
about everybody in general, then your argument doesn't wash very well.
No,
but if they're talking about just
I
the
agree.
Fold, you're absolutely. I would agree with you if they're talking about just the Fold, and that's what I wasn't clear on either.
Well, I think it is. I think that they were referencing just, but I don't know for certain.
I'll be honest. I mean, I've got an S23 that has the pen in it,
and I've got a 24.
And I don't use it. And the main reason I don't use it isn't because I wouldn't use it. It's because I forget the dang thing's even in there.
Well, what's interesting about all of this is, originally, I didn't use it, and I got out of the habit of using it because magnets affect how this thing works. So your MagSafe cases, your MagSafe features can interfere with some of this.
That's
right?
true.
All right, it
Very
interferes
true.
with the actual detection of the stylus in or outside of the device, and
Yes.
affects the way that the stylus is actually used or recognized by the device if it's being
because
used.
it uses I'm gonna say radio, but I'm using radio very broadly. It uses broadcast technologies in order to
as opposed to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something else.
It's using a bunch of things to talk to them.
Right.
You wave it around, it does certain things. You point it, it does certain that kind of thing. So you can't just I totally agree with what you're saying.
So I think it's more along the lines of if the stylus were attached instead of having that big first grader kind of crayon stylus.
Yeah, no, you don't want that.
Horrible. Which is
I totally agree.
I don't want that with my with my device. I hate that stylus for any device nowadays. All right. I don't like flat oblong sort of styling like the one that's with that works with the Ultra series or even the Surface series, right? There you go. That oblong sort of carpenter's pencil kind of thing. I mean, most people don't like that. And the stylus, the built-in stylus in the Ultra series, the S Ultra series, while not that flat or that wide, is that kind of same sort of feel and experience. And I think that's one of the problems that it has. However,
I think so.
However, I do believe that that 1-2% that they were referring to was just the Fold and not stylus overall. I could be wrong. But it's thinner in part because there's no digitizer layer.
From a non-stylus person's perspective, the last Android device I had was the 24 Ultra. I actually liked the little stylus.
Oh, I like it too.
I don't even like the iPad Pro stylus. I don't like styluses, period. But I like that little thing. Well, it worked.
Well, the nice thing about this thing is that it's there. It's available.
It was handy. It was always there.
Handy. You can just click and go. All right. And the way that it worked with notes is just amazing.
Well, and let's add to this that in Samsung's world, it works very well because Samsung Notes is actually a very good application, and it works very well. I wish it was cross-platform, and it's not. But having said that, as far as working with it with the pen, it's great. It works better than a lot of these other notes and pen combinations. Apple Notes works well, and I don't want to denigrate Apple Notes because it really is a good app. Yeah. But Samsung Notes is actually have been doing it a lot longer.
Right.
And they got it nailed down pretty well. So
but
again, if it was cross-platform, I'd be on it, for more things.
But Joel, the Fold was not the only thing that was announced, right?
No,
new flip.
Okay,
which,
new flip.
If you like the flips, and a new
and they're saying good things about it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, they also have a new watch too. The new Ultra watch. So
didn't they also have a new classic watch or something like that?
Well, they've got a new set of watches. They've got an Ultra. They've got a new Samsung Watch Ultra. They've got a new Watch Classic. All right, but not to get too far away from the Flip, Didn't they
Right.
also come out with a flip FE?
Oh,
So
did
they've got
they?
a Flip 7, and then they've got a Flip 7 FE that they also came out with, which I believe is a sort of a budget version of the
Okay.
Flip, right?
Mhm.
So,
Fan
so
edition version is what they call that.
say again.
The Galaxy Flip 7 FE or Fan Edition.
Yes.
Yeah, nice label for without having to say we made it cheaper.
Right.
Right.
Right. But
Okay.
the nice thing about this is if you like the form factor but don't want to lay down $1,000 for it,
Right.
1,050 or so, right? Or 1,100 now. It was a way to get you in the form factor without the big downstroke.
What are the comments we've been seeing so far on both devices? What are the comments we're seeing regarding the creases? Because I know they redid the hinges, at least on the book side fold.
They
Right.
did.
How's that been affecting
I
the
have
creases?
not interestingly enough, that is one thing that I have really not seen a lot
And
of
I haven't seen
comments
people
on
talk about
yet.
it either. I haven't
No,
seen
and I
anybody
think
talk
that's
about
going
it.
to be that's the $64,000 question that everybody wants to know the answer to. What's the crease like, right? They want to know whether or not you can see it, feel it, or not. And I
So
think with this new
yeah,
hinge design, they've got supports on either side. The way that it's a bigger teardrop in the fold as far as
yeah,
the screen is concerned, so it doesn't quote unquote fold as much.
right.
Number one, and
Curving rather than folding. Yeah,
right.
gotcha.
Number one and number two, I think that when you lay this thing out flat, I think what we're going to see is people losing their mind over, oh my God, there's no crease.
Well, let me add to that. Because what I've read in the kind of other rumored channels behind all of this
Yeah.
is that Apple's ready to go ahead with their fold, and the reason they're ready to go ahead with their fold is because they buy their screens from Samsung, and this new hinge design is supposedly working so well that Apple feels it's ready for prime time in their market as well. So
Okay.
that's the rumor.
And look at the image there, in the Android Authority article there, where it's folded out. You can still see it. I can see it.
I'm not really seeing it in that image so much, but I would agree. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I've seen video
It's
where
not as
people were showing it.
noticeable, but
Well, I've seen video where people were showing it in demo, and I could occasionally notice it. But again, that can be a lighting effect. I don't know. So I'm not willing to. I want to see what people actually see when they actually get it in their hands. Which is what's the date of that, Chris? That they're shipping supposedly the
25th.
25th.
The 25th. So it's set to arrive.
So we'll hear from people and all sorts of people about it then.
You may even hear something from iTechGear.org, but I didn't say that out
Why
loud.
would we do that? No.
But I'm not saying anything out loud.
Engadget has articles says they significantly decreased the latest flagships photo weight and
Yeah.
decreased the it sounds bad. When I first read it, it says decreased, its latest flagship photo's weight and thickness compared to the previous model, but it doesn't say.
That's kind of what Gemini's saying, and it's it's grabbing things from everywhere. But it says it does still have a crease, significantly less visible and less noticeable compared to previous models. While it can still be seen under certain light, it's very, 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 very minuscule.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't care.
I don't want it.
Here's the thing, and I
I'm
don't
with you.
care. I don't care. What design you're working with, what kind of hinge you've got, if what kind of screen technology you're talking about. If you're going to fold a device in half,
it's going to crease.
You're gonna have some level of crease. You're never going to get away from that.
But the teardrop reduced it a lot. That teardrop
the
model
teardrop fold did reduce it a lot. I think that that technology actually came to actual production use with the OnePlus open, and I
I
think
think so
that
too, or around
is
that time frame
really
anyway.
really where
Yeah.
everybody is real. They probably there's a lot of folks that are probably out there that looked at that hinge design and tried to improve upon it, right? And come up with their own
Y-
foldable designs. But I'm
You know,
very
we may be the few people who care about this. There may be a majority of people that don't give
Well,
a
the
crap. You
interesting thing
know,
though is that the folding market, if you look at it, it has actually been growing. It's not it, I said it way back when, it's a very niche market. It's less of a
Mhm.
niche market than it used to be.
Yeah, it's not as niche as it used to be.
It's not as niche, but it's
Yeah.
growing. But the thing has held back people, I would argue, it has been price. It's all been about price and
Yeah.
price
yeah.
sensitivity.
And that's a very interesting
Because the prices
way to
didn't
put it.
drop the way they were expected to.
Well, no. So I believe this year's devices, I think they're either about the same or just a little less than last time. All right. I believe that undiscounted the device goes starts at $2,100. All right. And that's for the
Yeah, I thought it actually went up a little this year,
okay.
but
All right.
that's what I
But this
thought.
is
But
for
It
the
makes more sense with the
$2,100. It might be a bit of an increase. And I believe that's for the 256 if you order
yeah,
directly from Samsung, you get a 200 automatic free 256 gigabyte bump. You get the 512 for the same price as the 256.
right.
I saw that
So you
Starts at 1899.
for 256, right?
Yep.
okay.
Depends on where you go though.
Mm-hmm.
That's Samsung.
Yeah.
That's Samsung, and honestly, the way that Samsung works all of this, they're probably the device manufacturer that makes it the easiest to get an unlocked device because they won't lock you in.
Right.
All right.
Tops out at 2859 if you put 16 gigs in it.
Yeah.
Whoa. And a
Yeah.
terabyte.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I believe
Yeah,
you automatically get 16 gig if you go to a terabyte. So
Oh
that
my
that
word.
step up from 512
yeah.
is watch that first step. It's a doozy, you know?
Right.
It's
So
not going in my pocket.
no,
Sorry.
no. But this thing is so thin and so light and a little bit bigger than last year. It's actually even bigger than the OnePlus Open, which I think is a big deal because it at 7.86 or 7.82 or 7.86 inches diagonal
Right.
is just a skid, just a
Well, but
smidge
let's be
smaller.
clear that
Just a
that's what all
skosh.
this looks like in our market. In the Asian markets, there are competitors that are
Oh,
almost
sure.
exactly the same or thinner,
Right.
and they're so it's only in our market that where we limit all those Asian devices that we don't
Sure.
that we don't see all these thinner devices and whatnot. We're kind of lucky we got the OnePlus Open at
To
all
tell you
when you
that,
get right
yeah,
down to it.
to tell you the truth, we are, and it's a shame that we don't have the Oppo what was
The
it
Find N5,
the Find
Find
N5, which is
N5.
the OnePlus Open 2.
Right.
You
Yeah.
cannot get that here in the U.S. You can get it in India, but you
So
can't get it here.
so I'm going to be interested in a couple of things when this device comes out. Obviously, we're going to be interested, like I said, in seeing how the crease is or
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I'm also going to be interested in seeing how real world camera comparisons come out.
yeah.
Because one of the things that's always happened in fold devices is we compromise the camera for the sake of the
True,
thinness.
true. But if you look at the back of this device, the
The
quote unquote
specs
the
look
camera
okay.
hump, well, the
We'll see
camera
what the
hump
reality
sticks
looks
out
like. Yeah,
quite far from
it does. It
this
does.
device.
And again, the early conversations look like they're going to be good, but let's see what happens when it really gets out there and go from there. But because one of the things it seems like if you got that bigger screen, I'd really like to have a camera that could put a picture that looked good on it.
Oh,
I
absolutely,
always hated the
Right.
compromises they made in cameras on these things. I got it,
absolutely.
but I hated it. So we'll see what this
Right.
does.
But you know
Be curious.
what's I think the most frightening thing is if you and I'm looking at one of the pictures here on the Android Authority article that Joel referenced, and we'll go ahead and we'll shove that this link in the show notes as well.
Okay.
The last picture that they've got under the where is Samsung and what have you done with it? That last picture shows the Fold 7, right? The Z Fold 7, sitting on top of the S25 Ultra, and the fold is folded up, folded in half. It's thinner than the S25 Ultra, which is
but my
an
OnePlus Open
amazing
folded
thing.
is thinner than my S23 Ultra.
Well,
so okay,
it's still it's an amazing thing. All right, that those two screens folded up, right, are thinner than because this device,
this is where this market's
the
gone, though.
the S24 and the S25 are basically the same device, right?
True.
This thing is, and I'm holding the S24 Ultra here, and it is a thin device. All right.
As these things go. But what I'm getting is all the new foldables, again, looking at the overall market, including the Asian markets, they've all gone, they're all the same thing. You can't go any thinner. You can and still support a USB-C.
Not too much.
I mean, if you go any thinner, you're going to have some special adapter to get to a USB-C.
Well, special adapter, and you're also going to have to you're also going to worry about heat dispensation.
We're going back to lightning, folks.
Suspension or dispersal or heat dissipation and
that's another problem. Yeah.
And performance related issues, because that thing is just not going to be able to go ahead and.
Well, my understanding is all of these do get hot. They all do, because they're so thin. And that doesn't surprise me. But
no,
the point is we've hit another level in the market. It isn't like Samsung's done something amazing here. They're just doing what everybody else is doing, and that's great. I'm glad to see it, because they're one of the biggest players in the market. So it's nice, right. And it's certainly one of the biggest Android player here in the North America markets. So I'm glad to see it finally come here.
Well, yeah. You know what else is kind of cool though
what else is cool?
Well, in a nice little segue between one piece and another, all these new devices from Samsung will come with Android 16 natively.
With their version of it on it.
All right, with One UI 8 on top of it, right? But they'll come with Android 16, and apparently Android 16 is supposed to, at least according to ZDNet, fix notifications with the addition of 2 new features. Joel, what's going on here?
Yeah, so the article says they totally changes how notifications work on your phone. Well, no, it doesn't. Not in my opinion. I have the latest update here.
Well, sure, you've got it on your Pixel, and so do I, right?
Yeah, me too.
Find your ride package or food at a glance. So basically, they've added a feature very similar to live activities on iOS, and auto group notifications. Whoop-de freaking do. And they've also added a cooldown feature, which I actually haven't noticed here. To say they completely changes how notifications work, that's a little bit of an overstatement, but they tweaked it, so.
Oh, how many of these articles don't overstate their titles?
They all do. Yeah,
it's a thing.
But it's like, so we'll see how that really pans out. And I know it's rumored that the next update will be a feature release, another feature release. That's what they're saying, which I believe that will be the August update. So we'll see what happens. But
right.
I've been and the old adage of Verizon's always last is just not the case anymore. I've not ever had any single delay on Android in years now with Verizon.
Well, so one of the things that I think is cool about what you do, Joel, is that you are an Android purist, and you will I've never seen you really get into a Samsung device or an LG device.
When we first started the show, I had a Note 10. So,
but I mean, you've been more of a Google Pixel
since
since
the 6. I got the Pixel 6, and then
the funny thing is when you get right down to it, at one time Google's offering was, I would call it a purist version. I would disagree that it's that anymore because they're adding features that nobody else has now. So that's not purist anymore.
But it's as close as you can get to it.
But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like the features that they've added. I really do. So, but the point is, it's kind of just its own offshoot now. It's not like it's a pure version of Android anymore.
Totally agree with that. You know, I mean, there's a lot of features to it, and for me, and for anybody,
there's a lot of pluses to it. Absolutely is.
Yeah, it's my recommendation. If anybody wants to know what I think is the best Android phone to get, it's going to be a Pixel series always. That's going to have a lot less mess with. To that point, though, I will say One UI has been phenomenal, actually, and it's not like it used to
be. It's way better than its older versions were. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, or the worst one of all, which was Moto Blur back in the day.
Oh, don't even get me started on that piece of crap.
Oh, it's awful. But
Blur, please.
Oh, it was terrible.
Please.
Yes.
Don't remind me.
And way better than Samsung's first iteration called TouchWiz.
Oh, TouchWiz was a nightmare.
God, I remember that now. TouchWiz.
Yeah. So
kind of made you want to take a whiz. So
it does.
Pretty much.
No, it kind of took a whiz on us.
Yeah.
I find the next article much more interesting than any of the other ones this week.
You're absolutely right, because I know that a lot of us.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Well, all four of us are very, very big into driving with your device and the way that your device integrates with your car's built-in entertainment system. And apparently, Samsung is building something called Autodex.
Finally,
it's supposed to be kind of sort of an Android Auto alternative.
Sort of.
Chris, what is going on here? What is this?
Well, Autodex, if I'm understanding what they're saying correctly,
right.
First of all, we all need to remember that Samsung. I could have sworn Samsung had tried something with Auto a few years ago, but I don't recall exactly what that effort had been called.
Well, actually, it exists in certain markets called Samsung Auto.
Thank you. So they've been down this path before.
Samsung
Auto. So this Autodex solution isn't purely a car solution. It's a mutation of DeX, if you will.
Okay.
That will work whether you're in the office or in the car. Now, don't think it's not going to be DeX like it is on your desktop, but the point is you'll be in your desktop mode or your car mode is kind of how it's going to be. And so it's in your car, it's going to supposedly be a replacement for Android Auto. And people are either saying, yeah, this is great, this is a wonderful thing, or they're saying, why are you doing this? What's the point of this? I mean, they're going either way on it. I think it's interesting that they're doing it. I'm not sure how they're going to do it if they don't do it as a layer on top of Android Auto, because what would they have to do? They would have to get deals with all the automakers to allow it otherwise.
Okay.
So how else are they going to do it unless they build it on top of what already exists? I don't
know really
quite
sharp.
The mechanism.
Well,
it does look really sharp. I like the appearance of it.
It looks very CarPlay-like.
Yeah.
In some ways, but you see how they have that home and they have the office tab? The office is for DeX when you're in your office and the home and whatnot. But when you're in your car, this is what it's going to look like. So, but you're not going to bring up your home experience, your office experience while you're in the car. So don't get too excited there.
Right.
With the pictures that we're seeing there, it's still going to be the car only experience. But I think it does look an awful lot like
Android
CarPlay.
Auto.
Now, what's also going to be interesting, and Android Auto has also gone. They've all gone more toward the center and all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be interesting, though, is so we have to keep in mind that a lot of these new automotive systems that are not supporting CarPlay and whatnot are actually built on Google Automotive, which is another product altogether. And so how all of these things would interact is another question. There's actually an awful lot of the consumer base that's not happy with Google Automotive. They don't like it. They don't want it. They want to go back to their Android Auto. They want to go back to their CarPlay.
They don't have a choice if they want the car.
Right.
Well, the point is
the car.
And so people are walking away from cars because of it.
They are. There's a lot of folks that will
I'm reading
just
right
because...
now where this is not built and it's not overlaid on Android Auto. It's built on Auto Pro X, totally separate platform.
It is, and you're correct. But I know that there are a lot of folks that have walked away. Look, I'm an iPhone user, and if your car doesn't support Apple CarPlay, I don't want to buy it. And I won't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and okay,
It's
fine.
going to be interesting. So
One
it's
of
going to be
my car
interesting to
buying
see.
decisions was to be able to walk up to the car and unlock it with my iPhone, and I get that with
Yep.
my current car.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's people are saying things like that. I think a lot of people wouldn't take it quite that far. As long as they can get it to work with their
Right.
system, they would be
Right.
happy. That's what they want. You know,
Right.
does at least come in on the screen when I log in. And I would say, you know, it's interesting. I was in a loaner car recently, and I realized, and this was based on Google Automotive. This is on the newer platform. And guess what? By default, Google Maps didn't work in it. You had to sign in with a Google account. If you didn't sign in with a Google account, you got nothing. So I kept saying, well, I went back and started using, you know, maps on my phone. I said,
Sure.
well, screw you. I'm not going through this other. Why should I give you my Google login? You know,
Right. Yeah.
you know, that's
You
not
don't need
appropriate.
access to my Google account and all of the metrics and advertising
Well,
information.
and
related
that's what
to
it's
it.
about, kids. All this stuff is about
Yeah.
who gets the metrics, who gets the information.
Who gets
That's
the
what it's all about.
information, who gets the usage, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to share all that with God and everybody, you know?
Right.
So I guess in this case, you'd be sharing it with Samsung. In this case, okay,
Well,
but it is a good looking interface. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
It's a real
is.
good looking interface.
It is, and let me just say this: as long as it works, all right. As long as I can get access to the music that I want to get access to, as long as I can get access to the
That's
to
what it's all
my
gonna be.
podcasts that I want to listen to, which include this totally awesome podcast called the iTechGear Weekly. Yes, I do listen to our own
Mhm.
stuff.
Face it,
who are those
media
people
and
again?
Oh, they're a bunch of morons. Anyway,
media and maps. That's all anybody wants in the car. Media and maps. That's
right,
it.
media and
you
maps.
know what else I want that they don't really offer a lot is weather. I want better weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I agree. This, you know, the this past weekend has been tonight is Sunday night, obviously, but last night there were some really bad storms moving through,
Oh,
and
yeah.
one of the things that I noticed was that none of the weather programs project radar on the
No.
CarPlay screen.
And I really want it on a map of where I'm driving. I want to see
Absolutely.
the
I've
radar.
got
and the
one for
clouds
you
on
that
the-
will on Android.
Yeah, I've seen ones that will on both Android and iOS, but they always have a subscription fee.
Yeah,
It's like,
weather and radar is the one that I have that does work on Android Auto. However, and this it is I think it is a subscription. Let me double check.
a lot of them are, and I get it.
But the big problem with it that I do not like is that it uses its own color scheme
Oh,
for the radar. So instead of the standard one that's mostly green with
Green,
yeah,
red,
yellow,
orange,
and red,
yellow.
red.
Yeah.
it's blue and purple, and it's like what? Yeah, it's like, don't you get your data from NWS like everybody
Well,
and their brother
interestingly
does?
enough, Apple
Yeah.
Weather is doing this sort of
Well, remember
white,
where they got
yellow,
theirs?
white, purple, blue, yellow sort of thing.
Right.
You know, it looks like a
Excuse
freaking
me?
unicorn.
Well, remember where they got theirs from. Remember their app, their weather app wasn't their app. They bought
Dark
A
sky.
Weather Channel.
Dark Sky a few years ago,
Oh,
and that
Dark
they
Sky,
had that
Dark
whole
Sky, yeah.
blue, yellow, white thing going on.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
only $1.49 for weather and radar.
Okay.
And it does work on the phone as well. But like here's an example.
Yeah,
like
no, I get it.
blue
Yeah.
instead of like blue.
Yeah,
The only problem is NWS uses that color scheme for winter weather.
Right.
I know. I don't understand some of these choices, but I have seen choices that partially do it, but nobody that
Right.
does weather really well without charging me an arm and a leg on
Not to
my
mention
CarPlay or on my Android Auto.
Not
Right.
to mention the fact when I was driving, I reached up, I saw the little play button, I wanted to see the radar animation. All right.
Oh, you can't do that.
It won't let you do that
Not
when
in
you're
the car.
moving. Not
You know why?
not when you're moving, if you're stopped. And
No,
I'm like,
right,
it doesn't make a
right.
sense because it's the buttons
Because most
there.
of them have limit on video. You cannot have video running on your
Right.
screen, and they consider that
Right.
video.
Well, Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
Same
you're
reason on
looking
it.
more at the map.
I
than
don't
you
think
are
they
at the
can draw
road.
a line, Joe.
Right.
They have
It's
to either
the
make
same
it or
reason
not.
why you can't like I have some live streams I will listen to on YouTube where I don't care about the freaking video
Right.
portion of it. I just want the
Right.
audio. So I can still listen to it in the car, but I can't control it from the car. So it's like, and
Ugh.
nobody has brought out an audio only interface for YouTube, which I wish they would do.
No, but Apple
but
Podcast does that, but not YouTube. I wish they would.
yeah,
Right.
I
but
really should
it's
have
like,
added to YouTube.
What I
yeah,
would like to see happen here is I would like to see Apple throw in using dark sky. I would like to see Apple
Yep.
do something with weather radar in Apple Maps with
Well, again,
CarPlay.
I don't care if Apple does it or some third party does it. I just like
Right.
something available on my platforms.
Yep.
That did it well, that did it consistently,
Right.
and didn't try to rake me over the coals for it.
Right. Right. And I also wish that Apple would bring maps to Android, but that's,
Yeah,
Just
it's
me.
funny. It's funny because I like the visuals of Apple Maps, but I like
Yeah.
the points of interest on Google Maps better.
Yep.
So I'd love
Mhm.
to see. I want both. I always seem to want to have both. And yeah, I like to have Waze too, but Waze restricts me in other ways that I don't care for. So
I don't do Waze anymore.
I don't do it anymore either. It's just
I don't like the
For
graphics
reason-
of it for one thing, and everybody
now
has it
one
incorporated
now
everywhere
that
else.
speed traps are integrated into Apple Maps, you really
Yeah,
don't
Apple
need
has
that.
Yeah.
Apple has it
Google.
already,
and
and Google
Google.
has
in the
it.
Google Maps, and you can report things on Google Maps now as
Apple
well.
Maps as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all like
So
that
there's
now.
no reason for Waze to exist, in my opinion, anymore.
Well,
Not
and it's
anymore.
it's not the easiest graphics to follow what's going on
No.
it either.
No.
So
It's not.
Right.
Especially when you're
don't
driving.
like I also do one of the nice things that Waze does, but I don't like the way that it does it, is
Right.
it allows you to report the implementation of new roads if
oh,
not on the map, right? You get these little
Right.
dots that the car draws as it goes by. So basically what happens is your car moves over a spot, it drops a dot. Moves forward, it drops a dot. So your car is taking a dump on this road
Right.
as it creates it,
Right.
right?
But to Chris Gavula's point, when we were on this recent trip, we had CarPlay plugged into the rental car, worked like a champ.
Right.
But I still had to have my phone out, and I had Google Maps on my iPhone looking for places to eat
Right.
because they just weren't on Apple Maps.
Google subscribes to it's not that Google's. I say Google points of interest are better. It's not Google's points of interest.
Somebody
quite honestly,
else's, I'm sure.
They subscribe
Right.
to other services, and they picked the right
But
service.
Apple could
what
do
they did.
that.
Apple could do
Well,
that.
sure
but
they
I don't
could.
know. I don't know what
They're not going
exclusivity
to.
looks like. I don't know what their exclusivity looks like. I don't know what kind of
Right.
deals are actually in place. So it'd be nice to see the same level of support on Apple for points of interest. I would. That's
Well,
my only gripe. on it.
Given
It's improved a
where
lot.
Apple Maps started out,
But
10
Apple Maps wins the most improved award, as far as I'm concerned.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
But going back to our initial conversation here, I do like this Samsung solution. I like to see that there's other solutions coming out there. What'll be interesting to see is what kind of buy-in can they get, and will it really work as expected?
Right.
It would be nice to have an alternative. And
I think
you use
so.
it or not, you have a choice. It's nice to be able to have a choice.
I agree, and I like that. I like what I think they're trying to do. I just don't know how successful they'll be.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see.
Yep.
Exactly. And you know what I'm going to do now?
I don't know. What
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I'm going to move us to our Windows segment. But
Are you?
I am. But I'm
What if we don't want to move?
hang on. I'm going to do it.
That's just
Hang
in
on.
anticipation of what's
Hang
to
on.
come.
Hang on.
That's right.
I'm going to do it right after this message. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time-bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. You know, I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. You know, it ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone 2. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 138.
Are we getting through it?
We are. What's with all the rumors? So, and I want to go ahead and I want to move us to our Windows segment. But Joel, push the button. That's right, everybody. It's time. It's the MS Mistake-a-thon. Joel, let's spin the big wheel. It was a beauty this week, I'll tell you. And it landed, you know what it landed on?
What did it land on?
Outages, plenty.
Idiocy.
I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. We even have a double feature this week.
We do have a double feature because not only was Outlook out more than once this past week, but Teams also went down. So what the big deal here is, you know, honest to goodness, from our one of our favorite sources over at NeoWin. So Microsoft has confirmed that a Teams outage took place, which made meetings inaccessible, which, you know, for Teams is nothing new because unfortunately.
But considering that's its primary function, one would hope it would work better than that.
It has 2 functions: 1, instant messaging, and 2, meetings. All right. And it's all nice, lovely, wonderful, and good that you can send a couple of instant messages back and forth, you know, between you and the director, senior director,
and say
vice
what?
president that's trying to get into the damn
Right.
meeting that you're hosting, and she's made time out of their busy schedule to attend, and all that you can say is, I don't know why it's not working. It's not my fault, you know. Yeah. All I got to
Right.
By the
say
way,
is
that's the
thank you,
larger reason why
Microsoft,
putting
for
in things
wasting more of our time.
that's the larger reason why putting in things in the cloud doesn't always work, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
Well, I'm
anyway,
happy to
so
say I never noticed an issue, and we use Microsoft 365 all the time. So
I had it during this window. It was about a 24-hour window of problems on and off.
Right.
And I will say that during that window, I had a couple of times where my email would trigger "We need your password again," and it
Which
would
is
be like,
another really awesome.
which I get when it does it every 90 days. I understand the refresh cycle. This was not the refresh cycle. It kicked it like twice in one day, asking me for
it
it.
was
So
having trouble authenticating
there was a lot of
credentials
issues.
and
Teams
letting you
wasn't
in.
loading. Sometimes the side apps that are part of Teams weren't
Right.
loading. There was lots of challenges.
Right.
Outlook wasn't connecting.
So
Yeah.
fortunately or unfortunately, if you were affected, fortunately for most, it was really a small outage for Teams. But Outlook.com, Outlook Mobile, and Outlook Desktop Client also went down. Now, thankfully, I didn't get affected by this one either. Did any of you?
Yeah, Outlook, as I said, kept kicking me back, wanting the password again.
Yep, I'm fine.
So, but I got in, but it kept having authentication goofiness.
Well, thankfully for me, I wasn't. Me and I think Mike, the company that I'm currently working with, and yes, I am working again. So woohoo!
Yeah.
Let's have a woohoo!
Yeah,
Woohoo!
shall we?
Woohoo.
Thank you. I was not affected by either of these things, which I think is an amazing feat because honestly, the way that not just Teams but the new corporate Teams,
It's different.
it's different and it was updated about 2 years ago. It was supposed to be sturdier and better put together. They need to stop and just refactor the whole freaking thing.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
also bloated, but like its predecessor.
it is bloated. It is bloated because it's also a front end for SharePoint or an alternate front end for SharePoint and file storage.
It's got plug-in hooks for lots of things. Even Cisco's WebEx can work as a plug-in to it.
Yeah.
But again, it's just a plugin. This thing is just a shell, and it's not even a very stable shell at times. So there you go.
No, it's not. And this is the biggest problem that I have with Teams or even Zoom or WebEx or whatever.
Sure.
Look, when you are running your business on that platform, i.e., you're using it to conduct meetings, so that you can either greatly cut down on, mostly cut down on, or completely eliminate travel costs, and simply just do it through desktop client meetings. Well, then hell, fabulous. It makes this podcast possible.
True enough.
But at the same time, if it's not reliable, then I've got to not only am I paying Microsoft for the privilege of having Teams be that platform, but I'm also incurring costs related to, well, I've got to figure out some way of getting this meeting done. I got to have this conversation, whether that's some kind of a conference call or whether I've got to get on a plane now and go and talk to these people in person.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
But this is the only problem they had this week, is it?
Well, no, it is not, because they also went ahead and I thought this was cute.
To say the least.
To say the very, very least. Also, we're studying an article from our friends at NeoWin. A specific Windows update error. And please go ahead and note this number. If you see it, then you'll know that you've been hit by it. But it's 0x800-70643. All right, which relates to an error from WinRE or the Windows recovery environment. Indicating that you had to have at least 250 megabytes of free disk space for that recovery environment in and of itself, that recovery partition. Microsoft closed this particular issue in April of this year, and promised a better update that won't fail later, because apparently that one in April was failing with that particular error. Well, they fixed it, and that issue has been resolved. However, unfortunately, the update does not remove the incorrect error message, which still might appear in the Windows Update history page. So, yeah, it may still note that it failed, even though it didn't fail. And when it does note that it fails, it may actually show you that particular error that I mentioned, that error code 800700643, which indicates that there's a problem that didn't have enough space to update the Windows recovery.
So I will tell you, with my work PC, I ran into this problem where it wouldn't go beyond one of the cumulative updates.
Right.
It wouldn't do it. It kept saying it would do it, and then it would fail.
Yeah.
And it was very similar. And it turns out at the end of the day, the error doesn't tell you this, but what that really means is that there wasn't room in the boot partition to do what it needed to do. Very much like this error.
Right.
The solution was you have to go into the boot partition with admin rights, remove stuff like fonts you're not using in order to free up space in that boot partition. And then, even then, it often will not run from Windows Update. You have to go out, get the ISO, and reinstall the version of Windows that you're trying to reinstall. So it's a whole process. It's a whole thing. In my case, it took better than a day, like a day and a half, of an IT technician specifically beating up my PC with my input and my help as to what I knew was going on to get it done. It was completely nonsensical. So these kinds of errors, Microsoft, you know what, Joel? Spin the wheel again, please.
What did it land
Microsoft, you've been double wheeled and you deserve it.
How can a $250 billion computing company do this crap?
It's a really great question. It's a really, really great question. What really, really bothers me the most about this one particular thing that we're talking about is, you have zero, you're left with, even though Microsoft says that they've resolved the issue with the Windows recovery partition, the recovery environment, the error still shows. So you have no real level of confidence that that error is in fact resolved or not.
Well, let's broaden it, Chris. The error message doesn't tell you anything that you can actually act on. It tells you nothing helpful or useful.
No. As a user, there's no. Well, first of all, as a user,
you don't know what happened.
Even as an admin user, all right, or somebody in our level of understanding and our level of knowledge, we are not. There is nothing in that error message that is going to allow us to do anything. There's nothing really there that's going to allow a Windows sysadmin to do anything. All right, let alone some poor consumer who has no idea what those numbers mean, and then when they Google that number, they don't get a lot of information either. All right.
No, it's completely not helpful. What do they know about
it's
not actionable? It's not helpful.
What do they know about the recovery environment?
And
I have a
Microsoft
recovery environment.
But Microsoft has gone more and more down this path, and I find it a completely frustrating, maddening, unhelpful path. For I don't want to use the products because I'm getting so tired of these things coming up from time to time. And Microsoft, you got to fix this. I understand this isn't your primary product line anymore, but come on, this is the first interface that people see when they see you most of the time. You need to make this better.
Well, again, and I've said this over and over and over again, Microsoft makes the operating system that runs the business that make the world turn, that run the world. All right. They make the operating system that runs the business.
This isn't what makes them money right now. That's the problem. This isn't where their money comes from.
This is me saying I don't give a shit. The problem
and I agree
is that there are
their front door.
Well, yes, it is their front door. It is. And what really, really bothers me is that there are key people out there from big organizations that are bumping into this problem that are now stuck because they can't do anything about this.
Well, and you know what they do? They go to Macs. They go to Linux. They get the heck off of Windows. That's what they've been doing more and more,
What I
as
did.
much as they can.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people have done.
Well,
And
again, and it's an ex Microsoft engineer that is creating and doing OS, which is that Windows.
I have,
Linux environment.
Most of us in this group, we're in this situation where we probably have Windows and Mac kind of equipment running around.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, for good or bad, I'm using my Mac more and more, and my Windows less and less. And there's a reason for that.
But right now, I use Windows at work because that's what you use at work. And even though they do have Mac support, they do have Macs and they do have Mac support. You've got to really, really prove to them that.
Well, I was going to say, I'm in the same boat.
That you have to have a Mac in order to get it.
That's where I'm running into it. My company technically will support a Mac. They don't. But the funny thing is, every time you even mention it, the support team gets very aggravated that you mentioned it.
Right.
Because they don't want to do it.
Because they don't know how to support Macs.
No, and I actually had a conversation explaining to my my primary desktop guy, who's an older guy like we are, and he said, "Well, I don't understand why people would want to do this." And I gave him some very concrete reasons why he might prefer that. I said, and there's a reason, there's negatives as well, but here's some of the reasons why you might want one, and why somebody might ask for one. And he's like, "Oh, I never thought of those things." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's but that's the thing."
Son.
Yeah, here's
the conversation. Here's the conversation and why we have this conversation.
Yeah.
So, but it's fascinating how this stuff, places and people that start to use Macs tend to do it very organically. They hear it from their best friend. They hear it from the next person over. They don't get it handed down from their business team. The business teams are the last teams that want to make that shift. But once a group makes that shift, I say Mac and use Mac as a placeholder. Because I really do mean Mac or Linux. Because I've seen companies go either way, and they're generally happier once they've done it.
True.
They're generally happier.
Right. They go one way or the other. They either go Mac or they go Linux, and they drop the Windows problems, and they're a lot happier. Now, they may pick up others, but they're going to pick up other challenges. But
they pick up other challenges, but those challenges are usually addressable. And that's the difference.
All of them are. All of them are.
Well, no, not this problem we just mentioned with Windows is not addressable.
The point that I'm making, though, is the solution here is to ignore the error. All right, that's
addressable.
To ignore the error, which is wrong. All right, because again, you have little to no trust whether or not that you have that error or don't. The problem here is they usually go ahead and they jump on another platform and they will encounter other challenges, but
yes,
because you're always going to encounter. That's why support departments.
You're going to run into them on all the platforms.
You're going to get issues no matter where you go. All right. It's just that you may find them more manageable and easier to manage on another platform, and that's the plus side of this. So, not saying, but just saying. Anyway,
it's a thing.
It is a thing, and unfortunately, that was two big spins of that wheel. So
they had it coming, guys. They deserved the spins.
They did. They did, and so they
have earned them.
Oh my goodness, have they ever? So, and I want to go ahead now, and I want to move us to our tip of the week segment. But
you do
to the actual tip. I want to remind everybody that, hey, iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easy for everyone to use and understand. And this team specifically has dedicated their writing careers to that purpose. And every week, the iTechGear Weekly will feature a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. If you've got questions, concerns, comments, requests, suggestions, send those to tips@itechgear.org. And if we use your submission, we will get you your 15 seconds worth of fame. And mention
almost as good as the fame we have. Almost as good as the fame we have.
Almost as good as the fame that we get here by doing this every week.
Right.
And this week, I'm very excited this week because I didn't have to go and hunt down the tip. Chris, you got one for us. What is it?
I do have a tip for us. So if you're on an Apple platform, and it could be pretty much any other product line, one of the things you might find yourself doing on a fairly regular basis is downloading things. And for the most part, when you download things, it goes to your downloads folder on your, and you don't think much of it.
Nope.
I ran into a situation where one of the products I have is I have one of the Apple Vision Pro products, and one of the ways you have to move things to it is to use the AirPlay not the airplane, I apologize, the airdrop feature is how you move things to and from it. You airdrop to it and then you can accept it and away it goes. And I was doing this and found that all of a sudden it wasn't downloading to my downloads folder on my device. It was trying to download to my cloud account. And it's like,
so it was trying to put it in iCloud Drive as opposed to your downloads.
Yeah, so here was the thing. So I went, well, wait a minute. Why did it go and do this? This doesn't make any sense to me. And so I'm looking for, there's no setting in AirDrop to say, put it here, put it there. There's nothing like that. If you look at your AirDrop settings, there's nothing for it. So I had to do a little online sleuthing to try to find this thing. And what I found was something I didn't quite expect. And hopefully this results in a tip that's helpful for other folks. People found that this sometimes changed when you did a software update or a version update. Sometimes your default setting got changed, and it changes from your local to your account. Well, where does it change, kids? Well, where it changes is not necessarily, again, this is for AirDrop, this is for any other thing you might be using. It changes in your Safari settings.
Ooh.
It uses your Safari download settings for the other tools. So there must be some, web-based components, HTTP components, whatever under the hood that it's utilizing. And so so to fix this, you go into your settings. Again, doesn't matter if you're on an
this
iPhone,
is settings for
iPad.
Safari.
Hang on. You go into the settings application that's
on settings app. Okay.
On any of your devices or the system settings choices on your Mac, if you're on a Mac. In most of the newer versions of the operating system, there's now a choice at the bottom that says apps.
Yes.
Okay. And that will list your apps kind of all together. Go find Safari. If you don't know where it is, you can actually use the search bar and type the word Safari in it in your settings app. It'll go find your Safari settings. In your Safari settings, usually near the bottom of your Safari settings, not near the top of it, but it's there, I promise. Maybe a little ways down there, but it's there. There's a choice that basically talks about downloads. And if you click on that choice, you usually have a choice of in your iCloud Drive or on your device. And if it's doing it wrong, it's probably set to your cloud. You're probably not setting it locally. You want it local to your device, change it there. If you want it in the cloud, change it there as well. If that's where you really want it, and it's not doing it that way. But the point is, the settings for all of these other services were in the Safari settings, not specifically in the service settings for that service.
Interesting.
So that's my tip for the day.
And you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it.
There you go.
So hopefully that helps somebody
really
who can't find where their files went.
If you're not finding where your downloads where you want, you need to go to your Safari settings and see where your Mac or your Apple related device is actually putting them.
That's where they buried some of this.
Well,
nice, huh?
Isn't that special?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So I'm going to go ahead then, and now that we've been totally amazed by this wonderful new setting that we need to go ahead and care for.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm going to go ahead and move us to our pick of the week segment. And I want to remind everybody, get ready, guys. I want to remind everybody that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and actually use, and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org would say that, hey, we've got to notify you guys of that up front. These are just things that we sincerely believe in and that we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because
we like you.
Someday.
God.
Someday, guys.
Okay.
Someday.
I'm telling you right now, the cat is disappointed.
The cat is
disappointed. Look.
You can't really
We've been doing this for 3 years and we still can't do it.
We're approaching our 5th anniversary.
Hey, this is the comedy, folks.
Oh God. All right, Larry, this week it's all you. What do you got?
I got a kind of a cool thing.
But I'm ching.
As y'all know, we sometimes do electronic gizmos, coffee, you name it, but they're things we like, we've paid for ourselves, as Chris said. Over the years, I've purchased several portable fans from big names like Ryobi at Home Depot and other names like that. Many of them unpronounceable names, things I got on Amazon. Until this fan, I've been underwhelmed with them all. Stumbled on this. My wife was looking for a fan she could clip on the frame, side frame on a golf cart and, keep her a little bit cooler in the blazing temps that we're having here in East Tennessee this
Oh, and
summer.
they're
And boy, they're
horrible.
bad.
I'm
They're
sure.
awful.
They're horrible.
Joel, I'm sure your family's telling you the same story. It's been brutal down here. But
Yep.
so, folks, this is the first keeper fan I've found. It's small. I mean, 8 inches is not large, but it's good enough size. 8 inches, extremely quiet, 4 speeds, and the fourth one is insanely powerful, and it's quiet. You do not hear this thing run even on the high speed. You can leave it running for nearly 4 hours on high, barely makes a dent in the power availability.
Oh, that's
I don't know. I've never run it out. She's never run it out. I'm guessing it might run 8 to 12 hours, especially if you lower the speed. Takes a very short time to recharge. I don't know what kind of a recharger is built into it. The battery, it's all built into one little box built into the fan, which might be a negative, but then again, for $39, just buy a new one 5 years down the road. But it's a modern USB-C connection, cables included, charges in a couple hours, and you're good to go. But Skid, the picture is in the Amazon link there on the show notes. Check it out if you're looking for a work fan for your garage, for the bench there, or if you happen to be
Very
a
nice.
golfer, something like that. But she really loves it. She refuses to not take it with her. So it's got to be a good product. It's Brenda proof.
Brenda approved. Okay.
Brenda approved.
Brenda approved. So there
Very
you go.
nice.
$39.
Love
It is really
that.
a nice product.
2 thumbs way up for that. That's awesome. All righty. And that, kids, is the show. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 138. What's with all the rumors? Recorded live Sunday, July 13th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central for Mr. Chris Gavula, Brother Joe McLaughlin, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. I want to say, hey, we will see you next time.